Everybody, Tim Kawakami here with an early morning edition of Four Nights Plus Minus with my co-hosts Matt Barrows of The Athletic. Monday morning, a morning show right after a night game. It's a little rough, but coffee. We're ready to go. We're charging forward. We're wounded. We're banged up. We're missing our best pieces, and we persevere. That just makes it even sweeter, huh, Barrows? Maybe I'm underlining the theme of this game: 49ers victory over Atlanta at Levi Stadium, 20-10. Get to 5-2. Barrows, as I always ask you after these games, what's your kind of headline take from this? What's the main thing that you're going to remember from this game?
Well, first of all, kudos to Tim Kawakami, who basically predicted this outcome. And I'm not sure whether you saw a 49ers kind of energy burst like we saw last night, or you saw sort of a Falcons letdown after a really
More of the Falcons. Well,
more of
I
the Falcons.
figured,
But I
yeah,
mean, both ended up being true,
yeah.
I think. But yeah, I mean, this was a game where Fred Warner was everywhere except for on the field.
Hmm.
He was on the video board. He was in the locker room. He was in the end zone. We saw him in the press box, and he just kind of felt that Fred Warner like energy out there. And that's what sometimes happens when you lose a great player. Is that everybody feels it and feels obligated to step up their game. And even if they're stepping it up in an infinitesimal way, the aggregate of all that is better play and is a lot of energy. And I thought that the energy was really apparent. And, to a person, the 49ers said they expected that type of game. That's how they practiced during the week. You and I sometimes talk about that Thursday practice. The Thursday practice is an intense practice.
Mm-hmm.
Guys get hurt in that practice, but it often sets the tone for Sunday, and I think that was very much the case this past Thursday. And kudos to them. I mean, you could just rattle off half a dozen guys that just on defense alone that
Yep.
stepped up. Tatum Bethune is one, Chase Lucas is one, Bryce Huff is one. I thought Malik Mustafa started to come in and throw his weight around, played very physically. I thought Jordan Elliott, sort of a forgotten man, he's a starter. Yeah, he had a quarterback pressure on the very first series, and he was all over the place too. So a lot of guys played probably their best game of the season last night. And frankly, that's what it's going to take for the next 10 weeks as well.
Yeah, I mean, emotion for sure. They played it really, really efficiently, right? Right. They didn't throw the ball very much, as Shanahan told them the night before, which is a very Shanahan thing when he's feeling good about a game. Let's try to run the ball 40 times. They ran it 39. There was a grind it out mentality, I think, which suited the moment. And I'll just go to my prediction real quickly here, not trying to keep patting myself on the back, but I saw McCaffrey is the best player on this team. Get the ball to him and don't just throw it to him, although they threw it to him 7 times and he was great, obviously, out of the backfield. But run it, just run it, just run it. The Falcons are not a great run defense. They're coming off a Monday night game, short turnaround. Just be more physical. That's where they have the advantage, and they did it. But it's tough, 40 runs from a team that's been throwing the ball as much as they have been. It's an interesting way to approach it. It's a very classic 49er way to approach it, and I just think it fed into the let the defense hold the Falcons down. And who knew, at one point, it's like Darrell Luter making the play and, Chase Lucas helping him out. It's like, what? Who are these 49er defenders we're seeing out there? We should say Renardo Green went out with an injury.
Yeah.
Might be out for a little while, and Jake Brendel went out with an injury, center, and he probably going to be out for, I'd say, 3-4 weeks is what it would seem like. So they've got more injuries and may get more coming, but a little bit of cavalry coming back. You had Kittle coming back, which, no catches, but you felt the impact on the field specifically for those McCaffrey runs. And they've got Ricky Pearsall and Brock Purdy coming back probably this week. So this was a kind of a transition game. I think, are they going to be real or are they not going to be real? And I think they felt that. I think Shanahan probably let them know that. And this was the game. They're going to be in the playoff race. Like, this is it. They're in the playoff race. Probably was true already, but this one really made you feel like that on the heels of losing in Tampa Bay. And this team's got some guts. Really does. And, yeah, I mean, you're right. Fred Warner was everywhere, but you could also completely lose it when you have your main guy up in the suite, right? You can really just let it go. And they got some good players. Tatum Bethune is a pretty good player. He's not Fred Warner, but he's a pretty good player. They've got – give the 49ers personnel people credit for having these guys around. Chase Lucas, who makes plays. Fourth down play, another Chase Lucas fourth down play.
Yeah.
That they – who knows if it'll keep going. I mean, like, yeah, Barrows could just be like a mirage a couple weeks when you're seeing so many second level, third level, whatever, fourth tier players step in, but hey, they're doing it for now, and that matters. That matters a ton. And you're kind of convincing themselves that they can do this, which I think was incredibly important in this game.
Yeah, in on that second Falcons drive, the 19 play drive that took basically a full quarter, I started to think, okay, this defense looks a lot like last year's second half defense. They allowed a lot of 100-yard rushers, couldn't stop the run. They had all sorts of problems. That was a defense that had an injured Warner and an injured Bosa. And a lot of the same guys. Jordan Elliott was part of that defense. Sam Okuanu was part of that defense. And I said to myself, okay, this is probably what we're going to see for the rest of the year. And they flipped the script. And, it just the theme of this season is grit. I think that's now in concrete. And last team's team didn't have it. This year's team does. And I think that maybe, I think Shanahan alluded to that in his post-game press conference. Maybe sometimes you get that with young players. Like, the young players don't know that the season's over because you lost Nick Bosa and you lost Fred Warner. They just kind of play all out all the time. And so when you replace a Warner with a Tatum Bethune, instead of replacing a Trey Greenlaw with a Devondre Campbell, you get where I'm going with this. It's just a little bit different vibe. And, those young guys, a lot of guys who are 25, 24, and 23 in that defense. And each of those guys kind of stepped up. Malik Mustafa's in that category. Michael Williams in that category. Alfred Collins in that category. Tatum Bethune in that category. It was a good, energetic group last night. And then going back to what you were saying about the cavalry coming back, some healthy guys coming back, I thought that Juwan Jennings, still not 100% for sure, but better than he looked the week before in Tampa. And, that manifested itself, I think, in the run game as well. And so you start to understand why they might have had issues in these previous games. No George Kittle, who's taking on defensive ends at the goal line. No Juwan Jennings, who's lining up in the backfield sometimes, like he's an H-back or something like that. So these are your two better blockers, and it's not just for the blocking receivers. It's not just downfield blocking, like long McCaffrey runs. It's blocking at the line of scrimmage a lot of times. And, I think Kendrick Bourne is still working on that. There's still some whiffs, but it just kind of shows you that everything has to be right. And everything has been right in previous years with Ayuk and Jennings and Deebo Samuel being in there. I guess it's very tough to expect that a bunch of guys who are just signed, some of them in week 2, can come in and do the blocking that's necessary for the 49ers to look like the running team that they were in the past. And they're starting to get back to that level.
Yeah. Juwan Jennings is like a tight end. I've said a million times, but yeah, he is like holding the edge on some of these. And that is not a thing that many wide receivers are even close to being asked to do. Forget about accomplishing it. Give Jennings total credit for that. He had the drop or whatever that was on the interception. I tweeted that Mac Jones should not have thrown it there. I got a lot of people mad at me saying it's all Jennings' fault. He could have caught it, whatever, but he had a guy right in his face and a guy right on him. Those combination means don't throw it there. I don't want to bang on it too much, but it's like that's going to happen. The passing game was not emphasized, George Kittle again, 0 catches. Kendrick Bourne, 2 catches. Jake Tongas, 0 target, 0
What?
catches.
Jake Tongas?
I'm like,
Tongas,
you
0
take
catches?
you take Tongas off the board. How do they even operate
What the
offensively?
heck?
It was a very limited, listen, they had 174 rushing yards and 150 net passing yards. That is not the 49ers offense we've seen this season. But and I kept saying this, Shanahan doesn't like this. He wants to get back to running the game. Just 59% running, whatever it was in the first 6 games. That's not going to be the 49ers. It's just not. And he flipped it the other way. I really had a strong feeling they were going to flip it, and they did. That they were going to try to ride Christian McCaffrey until the wheels come off. And the wheels have not come off of Christian McCaffrey. And he looks great. Again, only 15-yard long, by the way. Like, he's due for a big one. There is no question. I think it's all there. They just haven't been able to quite pop it. But yeah, 120 yards rushing, 72 yards receiving, and there's not been a big one. There's going to be a big one at some point. Maybe Sunday, maybe the Sunday after that. But Christian McCaffrey is going to pop one, and then they're going to look dynamic in a way that they have not really looked so far this season. They've got a margin. What is it? The point differential of +7. Barrows, they're 5-2, and they got a +7 differential. Just tells you what the kind of games they've been playing, but making the plays at the end, right? This is a 10-point game, Barrows. The biggest win by points that they've had this season, and felt like a 2-point win. It felt like a game that came down to the very end. We're all on the front of our seats waiting for this game to end because it was still so much tension in it. This is a team that's playing these kind of games, and they're figuring out how to win them.
Yeah, we saw the victory formation last night. Yeah. We haven't seen that very much at all.
Yeah,
like they didn't quite know the personnel for their victory formation because they haven't practiced it a lot. 15 yards for Christian McCaffrey. That was a season high. Mm-hmm. He tied the season high that he got, I think, in week 1 in Seattle. He's on pace not just to get 1,000 receiving yards, but to get that by a wide margin. He could even miss a game and still get that, which would be something. I mean, I think if he gets 1,000, he's probably in the Pro Football Hall of Fame because he's now done that for 2 different teams and in seasons where his teams weren't very good. I mean, it's one thing for Marshall Faulk to get it in that Rams offense, but McCaffrey will have gotten it, and I'm sure I'm putting the cart way before the horse, but on a bad Carolina team and on a 49ers team that has historic levels of injuries. So it's been impressive so far. We'll have to see if they can take it on the road to Houston and then on the road to New York. And, there's still a blood sacrifice that this team pays for every win that they get. And I do think that at least Matt Hennessy came in and played really well for Jake Brendel. I think the Falcons immediately started to pick on Darrell Luter. I can't wait to see the PFF numbers in terms of targets and completions and how many times they threw at him. But I think it was quite a bit. But I mean, it was for the 49ers, a comfortable win. And they don't get a lot of those.
Yeah, I want to mention one thing because, I'll look at special teams. Malik Turner.
Yes.
New to the special teams. I didn't know if he could play. Maybe they knew. He's the guy, the gunner or whatever, the guy running down on the outside. 3 solo tackles in special teams. He was like 5th on the team in total tackles. That's including defensive players. D. Winters had 3 tackles, same as Malik Turner. That's huge on a team that cannot cover, on a team that we saw give up a 49-yard kickoff. Was it a punt return? Was that a punt return? I don't even know.
Kickoff return.
Kickoff return. So maybe Malik Turner wasn't out there for that. It just, on a special teams that is wobbly, except for Eddie Pinheiro. We know that guy's incredible. He is unbelievably good. 17 for 17, including, a 54-yarder last
55,
night.
Yeah.
55-yarder looked great. Malik Turner showing out was huge. Because if you could just cover the punts, and Morstead punts a pretty coverable ball, I think. I just want to point that out because that was remarkable. He played like a great special teams player. Maybe he is. I don't think we're going to be looking for Jordan Watkins on this team. I keep saying, why the hell is he on the active roster if he keeps getting deactivated? I don't see any reason for him to be on the roster because he's not going to play special teams like Malik Turner does. So I just like my special team shout out to Malik Turner. Very impressive. I'm always impressed by those guys. On the bottom of the depth chart, you don't know if they're going to do anything on the offense. You throw them on special teams and they make plays, and they make big plays. Because if he doesn't make one of those plays, maybe it turns into a 30-yard return. And 30-yard returns in this league are sets up for scores on the other side. So I just wanted to circle that one. Wanted to circle Eddie Pinheiro. And then, that'll be our special team segment of this show. But I just wanted to say those.
That the kickoff return, which that's the downside of he's automatic on these field goals, and so his second field goal, which I think was from 42, was followed by a very flat kickoff.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether he was trying to kick a so-called dirty ball, the one that bounces before the returner, but it went straight to the returner, zero trajectory, and so he got a great head start and had that big 45-yard return. The guy who tackled him was Malik Turner. He was that was it. I mean, he had to come from behind to tackle him. He wasn't in Malik Turner's lane, and Malik Turner had to turn on the jets and take him down. So I agree with you. A very strong game from him. He's already been elevated, I believe. It's either twice or three times. It might be just twice, but so they would have to give him a dedicated roster spot in order to have him up there. But to your point, I mean, this is a team that can't cover kicks, punts, or kickoffs. So if you find somebody that can kind of work that magic, you keep him there. I thought it was interesting that Nick Martin, the seldom seen Nick Martin, the third-round pick, he had a nice tackle on a return. So maybe they're finding a little bit of chemistry, the right combination of guys. I think Nick Martin is potentially Nick Martin is taking over Tatum Bethune's spot on special teams. Martin is the faster, sort of more dynamic player. I'm not saying that he's a better player than Tatum Bethune, but I'm just saying he might be more cut out for special teams, just having to kind of change directions and break down and do all those things that a special teamer needs to do. So yeah, it was aside from that 45-yard return, it was a fairly good game for the special teams.
I got a roster spot for Malik Turner winning because you can only elevate him total 3 times a practice squad to get him on the actual 47 or 40, whatever the number of roster spots there are. Yeah, 46. If you don't put Watkins on IR, maybe they can't. It's Demarcus Robinson. I don't know that he's got a place on this roster. I know they're lacking receivers, veteran receivers, but he just doesn't seem. That drop was unbelievably bad. He's had other drops. I know he had a big play also in the Rams game, whatever game it was recently, but I don't know that with Pearsall coming back, Malik Turner being a real special teams guy, you need to find a spot for. I don't know that Demarcus Robinson's going to be on this team for very much longer. That would just be me saying that. It feels like a receiver that isn't going to be on this team very much longer, despite the fact he's a veteran and he had a really good camp, has not shown it in NFL games, and that's not great.
What about Sky Moore?
Sky Moore, but he's a punt returner. I think they don't want to just throw out somebody just to return punts, and then if he's out, then who's returning punts?
Like Jordan Watkins can do.
Yeah, well, then you have to put him on the active, right? Then you got to someone else has got to go down. If you're putting Jordan Watkins on the active, then Demarcus Robinson probably shouldn't be on the active either, right? It's one or the other. I just think you got a numbers game there, and when you're a receiver who doesn't play special teams and drops passes, that's probably the guy you're not going to have. Just me saying that in a negative way. I do want to get back to Bethune because he was such an important. We know that. I mean, if they don't have a middle linebacker, this defense is not the same. And he, again, is not Fred Warner. You don't see him flying around. There were some plays right to the outside where, the contained guy got blocked. And usually you're seeing 54 just fly through there to make that backside play. And that's not going to happen with Tatum Bethune. That happens with nobody else other than Fred Warner and Patrick Willis. But he was in the right spot. 10 tackles. He was around. People didn't get through him. I thought he looked I was a little wondering if he's going to look small out there because he's not the biggest
No.
linebacker, but he looked big. He looked appropriately like a NFL middle linebacker. I think the signals came in well. They didn't have the busts like they had in Tampa, which are obviously understand. He's just thrown in the middle of it. You just lost Fred Warner. Now you got to replace him. I just thought things looked smooth. Doesn't mean it's always going to look like that, but I thought he looked impressive. And like we talked about last show, they were confident about it, and I could tell why. You were telling me too, like he's got this air about him that he's not going to get in over his head. He's going to feel like he's get it. Things are going to be kind of in his head about how things are going to have to play, and he's going to do it. He looked really solid, and that's a real luxury, Barrows. 2 real luxuries that they've had this season. Tatum Bethune being able to step in for Fred Warner at such an incredibly important position, and Mac Jones stepping in for Brock Purdy. Again, these are 2 impossible positions to do on the fly. You have to have guys who are ready to do it. They might not play at all, but when they do, they're very specific to what they do. And I did not, Mac was not great Sunday. He's been better. That's okay. He was not in the featured position in this game plan. But Kittle said it, and I should have used the quote, but he's like, asked, how is this happening? He's like, one, Mac Jones is playing great. He's a good quarterback. And it's right. Like, this is the bottom of what he can do, what we saw on Sunday. Interception, not looking like he's going to lead the team up and down the field throwing the ball, but not being bad, not losing the game. That's the bottom of what he can do. That's hugely important because we've all seen much worse quarterback play than that. And the second one, according to Kittle, and I completely agree with him, he could have just written my column for me, Robert Saleh. That defense is tied together. That really, and never more necessary than when you're throwing all these guys out there. New guys, who's out there, I don't know, trying to get the young guys. Alfred Collins is like a stabilizer out there now, in his like 7th NFL game. He is a great fumble recoverer, Barrows, and I respect that. DeForest Buckner was like the greatest fumble recoverer in the pile, right? There's not just ball bouncing around. It's in the pile. He would get like 3 or 4 a year. Maybe that's a little bit much, but at least 2. Alfred Collins is just like he's in it. He covered his own fumble force
against the Rams
at the goal line. That is incredible to force one in the pile and get it. And this one, when Bryce Huff flies around the tackle, knocks it loose from Michael Penix. Ball's bouncing in a pile, and Collins comes out with it. This is very important stuff. And I'm going to agree with George Kittle, which always pays right, except for the fact that he said I had a bad question at the end. That's that part.
Well, you never say that.
Agree with
you never say that to Tim Calhoun. How dare you?
Yeah, it's just shocking. And I knew he was going to say it because it wasn't going to be a great question. I'm like trying to think, should I come up with another one? I don't have it. That the solid defense is huge. It's just huge that they're not confused, even with all these new guys. They are in the right spots. They're not always making the play, but there's always a linebacker coming on in support. There's a cornerback who's there. There's a safety who's 2 yards away, ready to make the tackle. That is not what was happening the last 2 seasons. One of them was a Super Bowl season, but they had just great players. But it's happening now like it was happening at the end of the Saleh era and the DeMeco Ryans era, which is perfect because that's who they're going to play in Houston. They are put together, and we've all said it. I'm not saying this is brand new stuff, but Kittle is saying it, so I'm going to agree with it. Having Mac Jones and Robert Saleh, and let's throw Tatum Bethune in there, it's just been like really a separator for this team when they've needed extra things in order to get to 5-2.
I was thinking during the game that a really good story would be and the 49ers would never agree to this, but for someone to interview the get back coach. You know who the get back coach is?
Yeah.
So the get back coach, just for anybody who's not sure, is the guy whose assignment it is, and it's usually the strength coach, to make sure that the coaches are off the sideline, that they're off the field, that they get back into the zone where they're supposed to be. And boy, it's a fight. It's literally a fight, a physical fight for this guy to wrestle Chris Kasurek and Robert Saleh back across that white marker during the game. It is a wrestling match. It's like sumo wrestling out there. He's literally, putting his back into forcing them off the field because they're, one thing that happened in the game was that Tatum Bethune had to come off the field during that 19-play drive. He was off the field for, I don't know, a good 10 plays.
Until the quarter ended. Then he came back in.
I wasn't quite sure what was happening. They were squirting water all over his neck. It could be that he got so hyped that, I don't know, he overheated. But anyway, that's just speculation. Where was I going in this?
Get back, coach.
Get back, coach. Oh, okay. Yeah. So Curtis Robinson has to come in and come in very quickly. And he didn't have the green dot on his helmet. And so he basically was having to read Robert Saleh's lips from the middle of the field. And so Robert Saleh is yelling the plays out to him. And luckily, Curtis Robinson is one of the brighter guys on the team. He's their union representative. He's been in the system for a long time. And so he kind of knew what to expect in those situations. And he was able to sort of decipher Saleh. But they were able to kind of deal with a lot of little hiccups in this game. And as far as Bethune, he came dressed to the game in a throwback Fred Warner jersey, throwback to 2018. So they had the same number. Back in 18, Fred Warner wore 48. That's Bethune's number. So Bethune's wearing a white Fred Warner jersey with Warner on the nameplate. And he just said all the right things in his post-game press conference. And a lot of his teammates, when asked about Bethune after the game, used the word leader. He was a great leader. That's important. I mean, the on-the-field stuff, being able to decipher a play, get to the sideline, important. More important, maybe, is being able to run a huddle, being able to direct traffic, being able to be the guy that you just kind of automatically look to in tough situations. And I think Bethune has that hard to pin down quality about him that maybe, not every linebacker has. Fred Warner certainly has it in buckets, but not everybody does. And so I think Bethune has that special quality. And I think that accounts for a lot of that quiet confidence that the 49ers had this week or going into this game on Sunday, that he could be the anchor. He could stabilize what could have been a very kind of rickety and rough defense against the Falcons.
One thing, why didn't Curtis Robinson have the green dot? The backup Mike almost always has the green dot on his helmet. I'm not sure why that would have happened. Like I think you're usually ready for that. Who knows? That's confusing.
He's got to do special teams. So I don't know if he's got multiple helmets or if it's literally the green dot that needs to be on the helmet and he didn't have the sticker on it. He had it wasn't activated, the radio receiver. I'm not exactly sure how that works. Maybe that's a good follow-up today for Shanahan.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you are able to have someone else who is the back who only comes out there. The dot only is active if you're playing that position. Anyway, I was wondering about that. I mean, this is a team that's built some momentum and against the odds. You would have thought it would be going the other way. If Purdy and Pearsall are back, they could get going here, and they're already going a little bit. They are in a playoff race for sure. I think they're currently the third seed in the NFC if you just play it all out, tied with a bunch of teams at the record. But there's some tiebreakers that you could go through if you want to right now, even though it doesn't matter because the playoffs haven't started yet. What are you expecting from this offense? Let's say specifically with Purdy and Pearsall coming back. Is it going to look different? I can't imagine they're going to go away from getting the ball to Christian McCaffrey, but do you expect a different kind of bounce and energy with your starting quarterback and presumably now your best receiver coming back?
I wouldn't expect it right away because what we've seen from Demarcus Robinson to George Kittle to anybody who's been out for a while, Juwan Jennings in that category too, is that you can't miss a month and then, pick up where you left off and, get 100 yards in the game. it takes a long time in this league, and I don't think that I can appreciate it, and I certainly don't think that the average fan appreciates it. But what you need to do to get back into the swing of things, and it takes quite a bit, and it takes time, and I guess we have to kind of keep that in consideration with Brandon Ayuk when he comes back, and maybe it's a month where he sees his first game. He could be back in practice sooner than that, but it's tough. So, I mean, I wonder what the calculus for. I wonder how Shanahan would answer that question. Like when he thinks it's possible that his offense can be firing in all cylinders. Is it week 12? Is it week 15? Is it week 18? What is it if everything goes well from here on out? But I mean, I think the bottom line is that this team has shown that it can win in a lot of different ways with a lot of different personnel. And like you said earlier, that it's a confidence builder. Like, okay, we're going to play this game without Trent Williams. We're going to play this game without D. Winters. We're going to play this game without Diamador Lenore. We can do it because we've done it throughout the year at other positions. And I mean, that's probably an invaluable lesson to have at this point.
You know what I'm going to say now is, how does this change the calculations going to the trade deadline? Every week we got to say it, because John Lynch is kind of saying it every week on his radio show, right? We're evaluating. We know circumstances could change how we approach this. I had a feeling that once Fred, I mean, you know me, I was pushing for a trade. Like, you got a chance to get Trey Hendrickson, do it. The wins are giving you the reason to do this, because it could make a difference. You lose Fred Warner, I understand. Okay, Fred Warner and Nick Bosa out. I'm not sure if you want to give up a second round pick for Trey Hendrickson. You might not be able to re-sign him. But now at 5-2 Barrows, Trey Hendrickson could help win them the division. Like, this is right there for them. Or is it still don't know? More people could get injured? I don't know. Where are you on that deadline timetable? The deadline is coming up now. It's in a couple of weeks. It's November 4th or 5th or whatever it is. What do you think the 49ers position at the moment, and how much do you think the next few games kind of alters that?
I mean, I think that they should be not all in, but they should be looking to add somebody. I know that Sam Lugano had his best game of the season. He had a sack. He stepped up after basically being invisible for a lot of the Tampa game. But I still think that they need to add somebody there. My point is that you lose Nick Bosa and everything shifts a little bit. You're having to play Bryce Huff more. You're not able to put Michael Williams on the inside as much as you'd like to. Your whole plan just kind of alters a little bit. So, I mean, there are a lot of people who are going to be available. Diana Rossini wrote about Jalen Phillips on the Dolphins. The Dolphins should be in selling mode. So Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, both of those guys should be at least they should be talking about them. And I mentioned Arden Key, and there's half a dozen other guys around the league who are on these teams. Your Trey Hendrickson Bengals just won an emotional game against the Steelers, and I wonder from their end whether that just kind of reinforces their idea. We're not going to trade this guy. We're going to wait until bad AFC North division. We got our guy Joe Burrow coming back maybe in December. Let's just hang around. Let's just win games. Let's get to 500 and we'll see what we can do in the playoffs. That may be what they're thinking on the Ohio.
When you got Joe Flacco, man, you're going for it. You're just loading up and going.
He gave them something.
He did.
It looked like a different team with him out there.
He did, and like Shanahan could rip the Browns just like Tomlin did for getting Flacco over there. Yeah, I wanted that guy. I don't want the Bengals to hold on to Hendrickson. What are they talking about? Yeah, it's going to be. Listen, they win in Houston, which I think is going to be a very tough game for them. It would be tough at full strength, and clearly they're not. They're still not at full strength. maybe they emerge from that, go, hey, where are we? Then you got to get through the MetLife game, and how many guys are still upright after that one. That's coming right up on the trade deadline. But yeah, they can add someone, and it wouldn't be an all-in move. I understand, like 5th round pick, whatever, flip a 5th and a 6th and make it conditional and all those things. But they're nearing that point where a 2nd round pick, in order to get one player who can maybe get you to that NFC West championship and then get a good seed in the NFC postseason, could be on the table. I kind of thought it was off the table, might be back on the table, and that would be a sign of, like, we believe in this team. And I think Shanahan and Lynch kind of want to show them that you guys have earned something here. Maybe it's trading more than you think you would be. I mean, I shouldn't keep saying Hendrickson. If we're saying the Bengals are going to keep winning, they're probably not trading him. But some higher version of that, the Chase Young level, like they did in 2022. What year was that? 23? Yeah, 23, right? Chase
Yeah, he
Young
started in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Super Bowl. That sort of situation I could see present itself. By the way, let's say one more time, they were blitzing a lot. I don't know what the numbers were. We clearly saw a lot of guys coming. Saleh has not been a big blitzer in the past. I think Shanahan wanted him to blitz more, but you wanted to stay sound and you don't want to give it the big plays. I thought they blitzed effectively. I thought maybe some of these new guys are pretty good blitzers, because Bethune looked like, Fred's a pretty good blitzer. He's not a great blitzer. I think Bethune looked like he's pretty good. Chase Lucas, they like blitzing from the slot. Look like he's pretty good. Like, they got some guys who, can get at least around the quarterback. I would imagine as long as they're not getting a big heat from the front four, although Bryce Huff certainly at times, we're going to see a lot more blitzing. And maybe Saleh's kind of got it dialed right, where they're not giving up huge plays when the blitz doesn't hit. And it just makes it for a little more active defense, I think, a little more dynamic defense. And I think Shanahan's kind of been wanting that.
Yeah, and they were good at it last night. I mean, they're not a team that blitzes. They haven't practiced it. It's not part of their DNA. So it's tough to ask a team that doesn't do that to suddenly become a blitzing team. That was the issue last year with Nick Sorensen. D. Winters had a good blitz on that first series. He's very fast, so he's a natural.
I think he's a good blitzer. I think
he's a natural blitzer. Getting back to your trade question, I think you're right. I mean, is it that Giants game that's right before the trade? Maybe that's what they're telling themselves. Okay, if we can get through this Giants game without a catastrophic injury, we'll see where we are, and then we'll pull the trigger for a Jalen Phillips. We'll pull the trigger for Bradley Chubb, and that may be what kind of their litmus test is.
They might be able to get an offensive coordinator from the Dolphins too. Wouldn't have to trade for him though, because I think Mike McDaniel's getting fired. So come on back, be a little, or not call him a coordinator, call him the advisor, offensive advisor, or whatever.
Whatever Saleh was to the Packers.
Exactly. It was like weird that he didn't come back to the 49ers. I guess 49ers weren't going to go to the playoffs. So all good, interesting stuff ahead. We did all right. We woke up. We banged this thing out before 9 o'clock in the morning. This is what we do, Matt Barrows. We'll come back. Maybe Barrows will have another solo pod with the injury report. I'm not sure. I always love those.
Yes, solo pods are very popular.
Solo pods are
like, why even have TK? Your solo pod is so good.
Addition by subtraction is what they call it. And then we will have a full pod later in the week. Normally Thursday evenings, we get to announce who the quarterback is going to be. It's our big tradition now. I think we have a good guess on it, but we'll see who's practicing. All right, 49ers 5-2 win Sunday Night Football. They are good on Sunday Night Football. I haven't looked at the stats, but they always seem to play pretty good on Sunday Night Football. And off we go. We shall see what comes next. Road trip to Houston on Sunday. All right, that's the show for today, everybody. Let me get it throughout. See ya.